Hello and welcome everyone to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am here with another special guest, Subhasish Sarkar. Subhashish is a seasoned senior product manager with over 15 years of experience in mainframe computing and related technologies. He is deeply passionate about building exceptional products and driving them to new heights. Apart from this, he is also known for his problem solving skills and determination to make things happen. So, in this episode, we are going to talk about his professional journey and his experience as an IBM champion. But before we start the discussion, I would like to thank Shubhashish for joining us in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
Hey, absolutely. I mean, it's a pleasure joining you over this podcast, Amit. So thanks a lot for welcoming me. Um, yeah, so you did introduce me. So I'll not go, on that side. You have done a fantastic job of introducing me. It's just that I'd just like to make a correction to the number of years. It's 17 plus years right now for me in the industry. So it's not 15. I mean,
Okay.
a little more than that, but that's okay. So a little bit about myself. You know, I'm basically an avid technology lover. So I love technologies. I love working with technologies in general, but mainframe in particular, right? So I am a diehard fan of mainframe technologies. And all these 17 years I have been working in the IT industry. Uh, all the projects I have been working on till date have been dealing with the mainframe technologies, IBM mainframe technologies, right? So people uh, uh, people in India and I guess globally, people acquire the Master of Business Administration degree, right? MBA. I like to call myself an MBH, right?
Okay.
Mainframer by heart, right? So I am not an MBA, but I'm an MBH, mainframer by heart. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think a little over 17 years of total and relevant experience in the IT industry. Um, so yeah, carrying on. Hopefully, I started my career being an application developer, and now, as you said, I am into product management. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully, as we talk further, we'll be talking about more and more things, right? So yeah, over
Yes.
to you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Subhashish, for this introduction and for correcting those number. So your year
Oh,
of
no
experience
problem.
is
That's okay.
17.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think now everyone is pretty much sure that we are going to learn a lot from your experience and from your knowledge. So let's begin the discussion. So if we talk about your career, like you, as you mentioned, you began your career as an application developer, but later
Hmm.
transitioning it to product management. So can you tell us about your early experience in the development and what skills have helped you to thrive in those initial years?
Okay. My early experience in the industry is um, so I was not drawn per se to the IBM Z mainframe technology, right? But honestly
Okay.
speaking, I was actually forced into it. Right?
Okay.
So when I started my career as a trainee, uh, I was forced into joining a training batch where a few of us had to learn about the IBM Z mainframe technologies, right?
Okay.
At that point, COBOL, JCL, VZAM, there was a bit of DB22 and a bit of IMS that we had to learn, right? But honestly speaking, at this point, I do not feel I'm not ashamed to say that I was very disappointed. All my friends were learning some distributed technologies, Java, C++, right? At that time, Python was probably not very popular, right?
Okay.
And we kept on hearing that, unfortunately, you guys have been put into a technology which is not going to survive long, right?
Mhm.
So we were pretty disappointed that we were put into mainframe technologies, but we were college pressures, right? So we didn't
Yeah.
have much say at that time. We had to do what we are told to do. But honestly speaking, when I look back, around 17 years before, and the training. that gave me a start on the different mainframe technologies. I feel blessed now that I was actually forced into learning the technology, right? Why do I feel blessed, right? As I started working on different projects, right, that involved different IBM Z mainframe technology skill sets, I was actually fascinated to learn more about how the technology serves as the backbone of the major global enterprises,
Okay.
right? And thus, in a way, it's the mainframe technology as such supports the backbone of the global economy, so as to say, right? So that I was involved in making a positive contribution to the society, through my work, made me fall in love with the technology, right? And how has the IBM Z mainframe technology evolved over the years? I think it was your probably your next question, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think a lot. Over these 17 years, I mean, I've seen that organizations have started focusing more on mainframe application modernization, right? Enterprises all over the world have started adopting DevOps practices and tool chains, right? For their mainframe environments, right? And IBM has also started promoting the mainframes as a key component of an enterprise's hybrid cloud strategy. So
Hmm.
IBM markets their mainframes in a way that enterprises have started uh, considering mainframes as a key component of their
Okay.
overall enterprise hybrid cloud strategy. These are some of the changes. Yeah, the evolution of the security processes and tool sets, and so on and so forth. A lot of changes have actually uh, uh, you know uh, uh, crept into the technology since the days I started working on it, right? uh,
Okay.
so when I started working on the technology 17 years before, it was pretty much the TN3270 emulation terminals that
Okay.
we used to access the mainframes on, right? So it was the traditional, quote unquote, the black and green screens
Hmm.
which we used to access and code, maybe write our COBOL applications or PL1 applications. Now, a lot of modern tooling has come into place which actually improves the developer experience, right? Workbench, VS Code,
VS Code. Yeah.
extensions, everything has come into place now, right? For the modern next gen developers, right? So a lot of changes has happened. So in short, if I am to say, the industry has actually started looking at the mainframe as just another server in their infrastructure, and not something that can be kept isolated from the rest of their enterprise infrastructure. Probably 20 or 30 years before,
Hmm.
mainframe was an isolated supercomputer somewhere in the data center, and the distributed infrastructure was all separated from the mainframe infrastructure. But no longer, enterprises can no longer carry on doing businesses just by sticking to that thought process. Enterprises have started believing that and thinking that mainframe is just another server in their data center, right? So I guess that's one of the major changes that has come you know to
Okay.
the technology.
And as you mentioned, like when you started learning about this technology, at that time you heard
Yeah,
that yes, this particular technology will not survive in the upcoming days. And still in the
correct.
market, like there are some myths around related to mainframes or maybe the IBM system, that it is
Yeah,
a legacy system, it is going to dead soon. So what is your
yeah.
thoughts on now, like if in year of 2024, if someone asks you, maybe some fresher asks you, like is it good to start your career with mainframe or any other legacy system? So what is your thought?
Yeah, I mean, my thought is, I have always been hesitant, so as to say, right? I'm
Hmm.
always hesitant to use terminologies like old,
Yeah.
legacy, technology, right? I mean, old and legacy, to me, these words tend to carry a negative connotation, right?
Hmm. Right.
As one of my leaders in my present organization,
Hmm.
she popularly, in one of the conferences, I guess it was a GSC Tech conference. I don't remember, maybe in 2023, maybe last year's GSC Tech conference. One of my leaders, she did a fantastic session, and in that session, she she said that IBM Z mainframes are legendary. They are not legacy, right?
Legacy.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I loved that statement very much, right? It's honestly speaking, IBM Z mainframes for me are they're just legendary. I mean, they are not legacy. So I'm always reluctant to use those terms like old and legacy. I mean, they probably don't do justice to the mainframes.
Right.
Most global enterprises, if I'm to talk to Gen X or a Gen Z
Mm-hmm.
about whether they should think about starting their career on the platform or on the technology, I'll say that absolutely yes, and there are reasons for that, right? So most global enterprises continue to rely on the mainframe till
Okay.
date, right? um, BMC software does a global survey annually,
Mm-hmm.
on the state of the mainframe usage, right?
Okay.
And I guess for the past 3 to 4 years, or maybe even more than that, if somebody closely follows the BMC survey, the industry survey, what they will find is, um, mainframe, the workload on the mainframe keeps on steadily increasing, right?
Okay.
Which indicates that mainframes, as people used to call it maybe 10 years before, that this technology is going to be obsolete in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening, number one. Number two, enterprises which use the mainframe, they are actually increasing the workload on the mainframe, right? So the
Okay.
transaction volume is increasing, the data workload is increasing on the mainframe, right? So and it's an enterprise technology, right? So it's absolutely a great uh, place to start one's career in IT, because you will find everything in this technology, right? Product management, project management, database administrators, system programmers, network specialists, whatnot. If you think about any specific role in the world of IT, there
Mm-hmm.
is every role possible. If you think about building a career on the mainframes, right? Uh, I mean, and mainframes will probably never be obsolete in the next, I don't know, I cannot say about the next 50 years, but at least
Okay.
definitely not in the next 20 to 25 years. That's what I believe, and that's probably what the most market surveys also refer to, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
because of the reliability, availability, scalability, and built-in redundancy that's built into the IBM
Okay.
Z mainframes, right? So all of these contribute to the mainframes, unparalleled ability, if I am to say that, to be able to continue processing high volume, business critical, financial transactions at unimaginable speed, right? That's what enterprises are looking out for, right? At the end of the day, you know. Uh, that is what supports their business, and that is what enables them to support their customers, right? So
Right.
as far as I'm concerned, mainframes are not dying, at least not in the next 25 years. At least I can say that when I hang up my boots, right, and when
Mm-hmm.
I retire, maybe after 20 25 years, mainframes will still be around, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't have a crystal ball to say what happens after 100 years, but definitely mainframes are not retiring in the next 20 25 years. I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with this explanation, all these myths are now debunked that no, it is not going
Yeah,
somewhere.
absolutely.
And one more
Absolutely.
thing I want to ask here. Let's say if someone is there who wanted to start their career with the mainframe technology. So what
Yeah.
all other technology would you like to suggest those candidates to start with? Let's say if, maybe the Python or any other modern technology that we can learn along with mainframe that later we can incorporate for enhancing the product and for doing the good job in the IT industry for a long time. So what all other technology you would like to suggest?
Yeah, I think the especially for the newer generation people who are coming in, right?
Yeah.
It's especially attractive for them and also easier for them
Mm-hmm.
to to start working on the mainframe technology. I say so because the modern IBM mainframes, they not only continue to support the more traditional programming languages like COBOL, PL1.
Yeah.
When I started my career, I predominantly wrote application programs on COBOL and PL1, right?
Okay.
But the modern but the modern mainframes, the IBM modern IBM mainframes have also support the more modern programming languages like Java, Python, JavaScript, C, C++. You call it, you name it, right? Even Golang,
Okay.
probably one of the most modern languages, right?
Yes.
It's supported on the mainframe platform. So, and most of the the freshers who are coming straight out of the college are very comfortable coding in Python, Golang, Java, languages like that,
Yeah.
languages such as those languages, right? High level languages. So it's very easy for them to, so as to say, straight away start applying the knowledge they have learned during their college days, and become more productive. I'll not say from day one, but very quickly, right?
Okay.
Because they're already bringing in those skill sets,
Yeah.
right, already, and probably would be able to leverage those skill sets,
Okay.
starting from maybe week one or month one, right? So that gives them a definite advantage. The second one is, as I said in the past, as I said, when I started my career 17 years before,
Yes.
all I used for interfacing, or writing application programs was probably a terminal application, like a TN3270 terminal application, right? Which was the black and green screen terminal
Traditional system.
applications,
Yeah.
terminal emulators, right? Exactly. But I mean, I won't say that those are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Probably people like us, right, who are comfortable using those, I still log on to those. I
Okay.
also log on to the more newer interfaces, right, like the Workbench, plugins, or the VS Code
VS Code.
plugins,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly. So for the newer people, they would be very, very familiar with the different VS Code plugins, right? So, and with the advent of technologies like the Open Mainframe project, is the Zoe project,
Mm-hmm.
the different APIs, the ZOSMF APIs, right? It's even not needed to log into those terminal applications anymore, right? So you can
Yeah.
just write. You can just interact with the mainframe by firing those Zoe commands, Zoe commands using a Zoe command line interface, right?
Yeah.
So there are many modern interfaces that have come up. So for the newer people who are coming into the platform, it's very easy to also interact with the mainframe. The learning curve has reduced dramatically. It has not become zero. There will always be a learning in whatever technology you are a part of, but the learning curve has gone down drastically. Plus, all the modern technologies that you can think of: artificial intelligence, machine learning, Gen AI, cloud computing,
Cloud computing. Yeah.
uh, you know you name any modern technology, the IBM Z mainframes, support those, right?
Yeah.
And all the different ISVs, the independent software vendors, they have tons and tons of products that
Mm-hmm.
are actually based out of leveraging those modern technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, models, the Gen AI technology, cloud computing, name any modern technology. So I guess it's a very innovative, it's a very exciting prospect, for the newer generation people also, right? If
Right.
they're interested to learn new technology, the mainframe supports all of them. So why think about moving to some other platforms? you know
Yes. Right.
right, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk bit about your other part of profile. Like you have worked
Uh-huh.
in both traditional QA as well as QA
Okay.
automation. So how has
Yeah.
QA evolved in your perspective throughout the time, and what trends do you see in shaping the future of the QA and automation process?
Yeah, so that's that's an interesting question. Yeah. So when I had started, let me just give a brief background about how I started, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely started as an application programmer, but right now I work for a software product development organization,
Hmm.
right? But when I had started my career, for the first 7 to 8, or maybe 8.5 years, I actually worked for what in India we call, quote unquote, the service industries,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So as part of those service industries, and I'll continue to use those terms, service industries. So those are probably what what people in Europe and America would call the outsourcing industries, right? And in India, they're popularly called as service industries,
Service industry.
right? Yeah, exactly. So when I started my career, maybe 15 or 17 years before, the mindset that I used to see was the development the development and the QA organization were considered two different organizations, right? So
You're right.
here you have a room full of developers. They would write the code. Excuse me. They would write the code. They would do some basic unit testing, and then they would hand over the code, push the code over to a different room, the second room, where there are people who are called so-called testers, right? So there was a clear, distinct difference between developers and testers, right? That's what I used to notice. They were seen as two completely different entities, but what I found have changed over the years is that line of demarcation, that
Mm-hmm.
line of difference between a developer and a tester has slowly started to diminish, right?
Okay.
So right now what I have seen is, and when you say QA, I consider QA to be the broader umbrella, right? I consider testing to be a subset of the broader QA umbrella activities, right?
Okay.
So um, what I have noticed, um, a change in QA is, um, in today's times, in today's day and age, uh, the QA activities has actually shifted from so-called manual testing to more of automated testing, right? So manual testing is still there, but the focus for organizations is to automate as much of the testing as possible. That's
Mm-hmm.
because of, clearly, as we know, that's because of more and more organizations adopting DevOps strategy, right?
Right.
So they have to shorten the time to market, and the only way to do that is I make some changes to a few lines of code in my COBOL program 15 years before, probably in order to test those few lines of code and then to move those few lines of code to production. It would probably take the organization maybe 1 month.
Right.
That doesn't work anymore. Right? you know 15 lines of code, you have to move to the production maybe within a week or maybe even less than that, right? So you have to automate as much of your testing cycles as possible, right? So the role of the QA has shifted from being a manual tester or a manual QA to an automation expert, right?
Automation part.
I will not even call them an automated QA or an automated tester. They are, right now, most of the organizations are calling them automation experts. They are entrusted with the responsibility of developing the full end-to-end CI/CD automation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, the difference between a developer and a QA keeps on fading away. And for a QA, they have moved away from so-called manual testers to automation experts, right?
Automation expert. Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are some of the key differences that I've noticed over the years for a person who plans to grow in the QA path,
QA
right?
area. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
the things has changed drastically throughout because
yeah,
the things you mentioned, like
right,
previously it was differentiated among the developer and QA, but now the things is
right,
sorted.
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So Subhashish, like, have you had any mentor or maybe any influential figures who have shaped your career? Because you have very long career, so for sure, like you have met with some experts in your professional journey. So how important do
Yeah.
you think mentorship is in the tech industry, especially for those who are navigating the specialized world of the mainframe?
Over the years, I honestly speaking, I have a lot of mentors. I have had a lot of mentors. I still continue to have mentors.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that mentorship is supremely important in shaping one's career. That's my personal thought. People
Okay.
might differ, but my personal thought and my personal experience over the years has been
Mm-hmm.
that mentorship is supremely important if
Okay.
you are to grow in your career, right? It doesn't matter if you are in a mainframe, if you are in mainframe technology, or you are probably developing games, right? For some organization, or maybe you are building, you are a front end developer. It doesn't matter whatever technology, or for that matter whatever path of career you choose. For me, it has always been that mentorship has played a significant role in my growth,
Okay.
over the years. A good mentor can do wonders. I mean, that's what I believe. A good mentor, a good mentor can, do wonders to your professional career in the
Mm-hmm.
shorter to mid-term to longer term growth, right? So learning from my mentor's experiences, how he handled typical situations which were probably very tough situations, you know
Mm-hmm.
how he or she handles successes and failures, right?
Right.
Both are going to be a part of your career. If you are to, you know if you are to have a career of 40, 45 to 50 years, you are going to see successes, you are going to see failures, right?
Yes.
How you are going to handle that, how your mentor has been handling his or her successes and failures over the years. I have learned a lot from my mentors. Mentorship is not about always sitting with your mentor and learning how to code a COBOL program or a PL1 program or a JCL or DB2 or IMS for me. No, for learning the technology skills, I have probably taken the help of courses, specialized courses, the different documentation that are available, the different YouTube videos. There are lots and lots of avenues that are available to grow your technical knowledge. Yes,
Right.
mentorship also helps, but for me, how I have enhanced my career using by the help of mentors is I've always listened to how they handle the difficult aspects of their day-to-day jobs, right? So
Right.
that has probably been more beneficial to me, than learning the technical skills. Obviously, learning the technical skills, I have learned a lot from my mentors, but I have enjoyed learning more about the interpersonal skills from my mentors than probably the technical skills, right? So for me, I always suggest that choose your mentors very carefully, right? And you will probably, if you are into an industry, if you are working in a team, you will probably know who to choose as your mentor, right? Yeah,
Right.
because you probably get that sense, right?
Yes.
This is the person, or probably these are the two persons I should go, and I should approach and ask them if they're willing to be a mentor. You will know that, believe me. But you should be very careful in choosing your mentors, right? And the other thing that I always say is, as when you start your career, you seek
Mhm.
the help of a mentor.
Yes.
As you start gaining experience in your career, you then start giving back. Remember, you benefited from having a mentor. Now probably it's your time to be a mentor to someone, right? Or
Correct.
maybe to a group of individuals, right? So it's not only about taking from someone. It's after you have taken sufficiently and probably learned from those takings, you probably start about giving back also to the technical community and to your peers, right?
Right.
So I guess after after you have gained sufficient experience in the industry, in your technology, in your profession, start giving back, right? Because that's how, remember, my belief is, when I sit with my mentor, I learn, right? I
Yes.
only learn. When I am a mentor to someone, I teach, and as well as I learn, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
when I am a mentee, I learn. When I am a mentor, I teach as well as I learn, right? So
Okay.
there is always an opportunity to learn from your mentee, even if you are a mentor, right? So that's my belief. Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, your thought process regarding the mentorship and mentor program is I'm completely agree with it, because yes, we do need help of mentors, whether it's our initial days or maybe when we are experienced. That time also, sometime we feel that yes, someone should be there around you who can help you. So, is there any
exactly. Yeah.
specific person in your life, or maybe colleague, or someone like to whom you look as a mentor, or you would like to give a shout out to them in this podcast?
I would love to give shout outs to many mentors I have had
Yes.
over the careers, over my stretch of an extended career, which probably spans 17 plus years now. Unfortunately, I haven't talked to them, whether I haven't taken explicit permission,
Okay. Okay.
from them. So I
Yeah.
would probably not do that right now, but what I can say is, w- whichever role I have worked in, whichever organization I have worked for, I have had a lot of great
Mentor.
mentors over the time period. Yeah, even now I have some great mentors who I take help from every day. You
Okay.
know, so yeah, absolutely. I would love to, probably not nitpick any of them, but probably would love to appreciate all of their time and effort, in shaping my career. Yeah,
All right. Okay, so let's take the last question for the discussion,
sure.
and it is related to your hobbies. So, what hobbies or interests do you pursue outside of your professional life that helps you to stay motivated and inspired?
Well, quite a few, I'll say.
Okay.
I uh, I try out different things to keep myself. First and foremost, my belief is you can work you can work hard. You can devote your time to your to developing your professional career, your professional life,
Hmm.
um, only if you keep yourself fit, right?
Right.
So I therefore I try out a lot of different things to keep myself physically active, and especially in the industry I am at, it's a job of maybe 8 or 9 hours of constant sitting, right?
Correct.
So I try to do a lot of things to keep myself physically active and fit, yoga, walking, running, cycling, and many more activities. Yeah, that's the first and foremost thing that I do. And it's probably I'm a fitness enthusiast, you can call that. I am an aquarist. I have a small aquarium, a small 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet aquarium, a freshwater aquarium. So either on a Saturday or a Sunday, I have to spend at least 2 to 2.5 hours to keep that aquarium in shape, right? Because
Okay.
being a planted aquarium, there are a lot of plants and there are a lot of nitty gritties that you have to maintain, right, to keep that aquarium in perfect shape. So I spend a lot of time doing that, at least once in a week, right? I am an avid gardener. I love plants. I love to travel. Honestly
Okay.
speaking, whenever I find time, I do a lot of traveling. I love to follow a lot of sports, every kind of sports. I hardly play these days. When I was in my college days, I used to be the college captain
Okay.
of the college cricket team. So I was a very good cricketer at that time. I can hardly say that now. I hardly play sports now, but I try to follow every different kind of sports I can, right? Especially cricket, football, and all the common sports at least. I love to read a lot, read a lot of books, and an unusual habit or a hobby you can say is I love to build electronic circuits, right? So
Okay.
I'm an electronic circuits hobbyist. Yeah. So whenever I find some time, I'll build some electronic circuits. So right now I'm focusing on building a 64-bit adder, right? Full adder, right? So I have been able to complete the 16-bit adder. Now I'm just building on top of that. So the ultimate goal is to build a 64-bit full adder, right? And as part of my reading, I love to read books on physics. Still, I love physics. Physics was my favorite subject when I was in because I'm a science student. Physics used to be my favorite subject. It still is my favorite subject. So I read a lot of books on physics, especially quantum physics, and I love mathematics too. So in my spare time, I go through a few of the mathematics books, especially some of the uh, some of the courses on different statistical methods, because uh, it- uh, uh, today is the day and age of artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? So if you
Right.
want to understand machine learning in a bit more depth, you probably need to understand the basics of mathematics, and especially the basics of statistical modeling and things like that, right? So whenever I find some time, I try to read those statistical models a bit. Yeah. So
Okay.
yes, I mean, I don't have a lot of time, but whenever I have some time, I try to keep myself busy. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much, Subhashish, for joining us in this podcast and for talking a bit
Yeah.
about mainframe, the QA process, and more about your your daily routine. Because the things that you mentioned as your hobbies, they are also very inspirational for others. Like yes, there are many activities that we can utilize or that we can follow in our day-to-day life to keep ourselves motivated. So thank you
Yeah.
once again for joining and for sharing your time with us.
Thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks a lot for welcoming me, first of all, and it has been a pleasure talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you.